All right, let me ask you a question. Did you ever want to migrate abroad? You know, go abroad to some new country and get a new citizenship? Did it ever occur to you like, oh, I want to one day go to this country? When I was small, always wanted to go to United States of America, USA. It was my dream to have Gora passport, white passport. Even, to be honest with you, even now, today, I have that regret. Shit, I don't have a Gora passport, white passport, American passport, white passport. And what is the reason? Because, we live in a world where if you have a white passport, you get visa on arrival in so many countries. You don't need to apply for a visa. You don't need to show your bank balance. Welcome. All the white passports are like, please sir, please come. But if you have a Asian passport, Indian passport, you need to apply for the, for landing in the country. You need to show your bank statements. You need to show so many documents. You need to have a waiting list. So I was always like, shit, man. If I have a white passport, fuck. I can show everyone and say, fuck you, I'm white, American, Canadian, Australian, New Zealand. And especially given the fact that I stayed in UAE all these years and I witnessed corporate racism. Whites were getting big salaries. Whites were getting big positions. Whites didn't have a visa, didn't need to get visa on arrival. No, they used to get visa on arrival. Indian passport, India. I'm an Indian passport, India. So I used to feel like that before. However, as you grow up, you realize life is not so romantic, or life is not so, life is not what it seems. In fact, if you want, I've spoken in my previous video all about the challenges of going abroad, why not to migrate. But in this video, I will share with you some of the realities which are happening right now with people that I'm coaching. There are a lot of people I coach. See, I'll be honest with you, okay? Which I always am. Deep down, I still have this regret that eats me up inside. Fuck, I never got this white passport, because I'm a competitive guy. I'm a guy who's obsessed. If I want to get something or buy something, I will do whatever it takes to get it. And if I can't get it, it eats me up inside, However, sometimes I feel that drive to want to get something which is forbidden can also be my downfall. And many times I'm lucky I didn't get what I wanted. Like, for example, I never thought I would want my wife was simple. I never would want a girl like that. Always wanted, the typical girls that we see in the movies, blonde and sweet and loving. Because always the beautiful girl is a nice girl. The dark haired, wearing, eyeliner and black lipstick. She's evil and gothic. The hero is always good looking. The villain is always bad looking. So we are brought up with those fantasies. However, see, the reality today, because of the internet, because of social media, we tend to see the reality which we didn't see before. See, before the Google days, before Google and before social media, there was always this pipe dream. Oh, if I go abroad, Indians, if I go abroad, my life will change. Even today, if you go and speak to Indians, I'm Indian, so I can say speak to Indians. You speak to Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Sri Lankans, whatever. The Middle East, they say Gulf. If I go to Gulf, my life will change. Gulf. And then you get the others who are a bit more advanced. Not Gulf. If I go America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, life will change. Now, why they say that is because they want this white passport. With the white passport, the whole world is your oyster. You can get visa on arrival. But now, is there a drawback to that? The answer quickly is, there's no drawback. If you get visa on arrival in any country, it's a great thing. Like, for example, Thailand, a Gora passport holder, when he lands here, he gets 1 month. 1 month, and then he can extend it for 3 months. Just imagine, 3 months, visa on arrival, 1 month, and then after 3 months, and then you can just go to the border and come back. Just border. But Asian passports, Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, you come down here, I don't know about Bangladeshi, Indian especially, let me speak on Indians. You get 2 weeks. Gora comes 4 weeks, extension 2 months or 3 months. Indian 2 weeks, an extension 1 more week. Gora, if he has to get a new visa, go to the border by a taxi or just go to the border, Myanmar, and come back. Another 3 months. Go to the border again, come back. Another 3 months. You can do this for the rest of your life. Indian. After 2 weeks, 1 extra week, the rule is explicit and ironclad. Get out of the country. Go back to your country of origin. Don't go border, don't go anywhere. Go back to where you came from. So you fly back, if you came by flight, and then wait for 1 month, and then come back again. Now, I don't blame these countries. See, these countries have to look at the financial benefits, what benefits their country. It's a very simple thing. India's population is bloody 1 billion. China is 1 billion. Just imagine if they made, you can easily get a visa on arrival. I can assure you, if they said visa on arrival, the entire Indian population would come down. However, same can't be said about the West. The West, yes, there are a lot of people who do come down to the East. But they come down for what? Retirement, because the government pays them retirement benefits, unemployment benefits, so many benefits. Our passport, unfortunately, unemployment benefits, the benefit is, go fucking earn. No job, fuck you. What do we look like? Charity here? That's the unemployment benefit. Education, free education in some shitty, useless school. It's the reality. It's what it is. I'm not saying that the West has world-class education, but the West does offer a lot more benefits. But see here, wait. I'm not trying to bash up India in this video. What is the drawback? Or rather, why is it I didn't go to the West? Canada, Australia. Why? Okay, first things first. I'll be explicitly honest, which I know you'll enjoy making fun of. I was not rich. The first thing is, I was not rich. I was not loaded with money. I didn't have millions in the bank. That's the first honest, truthful answer. Okay? First one. See, this is the first point, and I'll elaborate on this. The first thing that people never think about or consider is, once you go abroad, you have to stay there, correct? Okay. You have to get a house, correct? You have to eat food, correct? You need all the amenities, correct? That costs you money. It's not for free. So now, just think, you're going to a country where the currency value is higher. So your purchasing power will be lower. Let's say you're taking 100,000, example. You're taking 100,000 dirhams. You have to divide it by 3.65 if you go to US. So 100,000 becomes $25,000. And now once you go to US, everything is as per US expenses, US lifestyle. Everything is expensive. Nothing is cheap. If you go to a third world country, it's cheaper. You go to a first world country, it's more expensive. Okay, now that's the first part. The second thing is what people don't factor in is you'll have to spend money every single month after month after month without earning any money. See, unless you have some online business, unless you have some, a complete setup where money is coming in every month guaranteed, whether you're there or not there, like a business or, I don't know, some kind of money coming in, you'll be spending all your savings. Okay? Now, the next problem after this is, as you're spending, you need to think of survival, right? And this is where people underestimate how difficult it is. I want you to just imagine, I do not know what's your nationality, but let's assume you're Indian, Pakistani or whatever. Okay? Think of an extreme nationality, just the opposite of yours. Let's say, for example, I'll give you, let's say an African from Africa. I'm not trying to be racist there, I'm just giving. Or if you want, let's say, Arab Muslim from Saudi, long beard. Or let's give an example, me, with my tattooed face, I go to an Arab Muslim country. Now what happens is, to fit into the new culture, they will not adjust to you. You have to adjust to them. And that becomes impossible. The reason being is, you're not them. You do not talk like them. You do not sound like them. You don't follow their practices. It's like, having a bunch of dogs and you bring a cat over there. The cat, no matter what it does, it will always never be a dog. So in the same way, when you see these different people from different parts of the world, they go there. People might say, like Canadians say, we accept all religions, all nationalities, we are very open-minded. But the fact of the matter is, even if people are open-minded, deep down they can literally explicitly see the difference between you and them. Your religion, your mannerisms. Like when I went to Dublin, Ireland, I was in Clondalkin. People are absolutely shocked. Shocked, huh? Shocked is not a statement. Shocked is a bloody understatement. I used to eat with my fingers. They're like, ugh, yuck. What the fuck is this? Oh, he's from a third world country. This is what they used to say. Even though they were staying in a village, they were not sophisticated, simple people, they considered me backward because I ate with my fingers. In the toilets, they don't have any bloody hose pipe, nothing to wash their ass. They wash their ass with tissue. I was like, what the fuck? And they said, you wash your ass with water? Yuck. So, you don't consider this. The food that, for example, the food that we Indians eat, very smelly, very flavory, very overcooked. The juices have to come out, and that's why Indians have this particular smell or whatever, because our food has a lot of spices. Okay. What do these people eat, this Irish or this Europeans? French fries. They'll eat a steak. In fact, their breakfast itself is pork meat, sausages, blood of pork, made into a pudding, big, huge chunks of potatoes or mashed potatoes, then a glass of milk. And for an Indian, that is like, what the hell is this? For an Indian, it's maybe, they call it pancake. It's like a dosa or something. Dosa means it's like a pancake, but that is slightly salty, not the American pancake, which is sweet. Okay, it's like a soft bread. Not actually bread. I would say, like, chapati. I don't know if you know what is chapati. Like wheat, that. Forgive me, I'm not very good at explaining this. And we eat a little bit of, let's say, vegetable. Okay, just to get a little bit of flavor. So it's so different. Where Indians eat something with little spice, a little bit of oil or well-cooked food, or even, chutney, coconut paste, or a flavor like you call that sambar. I don't know what you call it. It's like a curry, kind of a curry. A white person, when he sees, what the hell is this? Unless, of course, they have traveled the world and they've seen it on YouTube. For people, it's a shock. They're like, what the fuck is this? And for an Indian, when they see pork sausages and pork and meat and all that, what the hell is this? So there's always a cultural shock, man. So, you know, the other thing that people don't consider is the cultural shock, the difference. And see, no matter how much bullshit people give you, oh, we accommodate different cultures, people, there's always a difference. Yes, there are some understanding people who are there, but they'll never accept you as one of their own. And then I'll tell you another issue, or rather the biggest challenge. You have to get a job. Here's the big question. Your education is based from a particular country. Your experience is based from a particular country. Your mannerisms of speaking, everything is based off another country. Now you're trying to get a job in a Western country where their own citizens, their own people with their own education, with their mannerisms, with whom they are comfortable with, they are searching for a job. Who do you think they would prefer to give a job to? If the world is a fair place, it'll be based on skill. Sadly, the world we live in is taken over by humans, and humans, they follow emotions and feelings. So they'll use their feelings. Oh, I connect with this guy. Very simple. When you go to a bar or a pub, who do you sit and hang around with? You hang around with people who you are familiar with, common. Would you go, let's say for example, a guy dressed up in suit and tie sits with all people who are wearing tattoos and big Harley kind of Davidson kind of beard and, you know, jeans and rugged stuff, wearing a suit and tie? No. People who dress up with suit and tie and are sophisticated, they'll hang around with their kind of people. That's why you see Indians in our Indian culture, South Indians, you know, the fellows who always have the mustache and sarong, they call that lungi, and they talk budu 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 budu, you know. That's where I come from. They hang around with their own people. You see any Malayalis, they're called Keralites or Malayalis or Malabaris, when they meet together, they'll go that way. And if you check people from North India, they will talk in their Hindi, Kaise haap and what? Shubhkamnaएं and blah blah blah. They'll go with their Hindi pindi, you know, bindi, whatever, Sindhi papad style. People from Mumbai, Ija aila teri maa ki bhenchod bosdi. Okay, I'm giving bad words. Bombay guys don't normally say that, but they try to act like a Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, you know, like very hip, and the girls try to act like, oh, I'm the new Priyanka Chopra and some other bloody actress. Or so people, you know, people tend to behave like their flock. I know you must be thinking like, what the fuck happened to Loy then? His flock is gone abnormal or what? So, my story is different. Anyway, keep that aside. I'll tell you in another video. So what happens is when you go to a new country, they look at you as like, you know, for lack of a better term, as a black sheep, or, you know, it's like a black community or a white person. You know, they look at you different, you know. Like, for example, me, when people say me, what the fuck, you know, they go like that. I don't blame them. Okay, now when you see me every day, if you have seen my channel, you're like, oh, Loy, it's normal. You know, like they say, the tattoos vanish. My wife, she never notices I have tattoos. In fact, people who see me every day, they don't feel anything. They don't even realize the tattoos are there. But someone who sees me for the first time, what the fuck? They'll go like shocked, you know. In fact, some people even ask me, man, your daughter doesn't get scared of you. Isn't she horrified? Such a horrible looking person. I tell them, my daughter, this is the only face she has seen. She's used to it. It's like you see something every day, you don't notice it. So same way when you go abroad and you're trying to fit into their culture, it'll be very hard for you to fit in. And for them, you're always an outsider. Yes, after a period of time, they'll get used to you. But it's always going to be tough. And that is where you'll have to start right at the bottom. And that is another thing people don't think about. If you go abroad, don't assume that you're going to get a managerial position. The only jobs you're going to get: security, gas attendant, cashier, telemarketer. The jobs that pay you the basic minimum wage. And with the basic minimum wage, what the fuck are you going to do, man? You know, I know so many people who work not just one job. They work 3 jobs. You know how exhausting it is to work 3 jobs? Just imagine you get up in the morning, you go to work in one store as a cashier, then you have to take the train or something because it's kind of well developed there. You sleep in the train itself, you get up at your next station, and there you work, let's say in a theater or something, serving popcorn and food and this and that. And then after that, you finish a few hours there. Again, you take a train, you sleep, or you take a bus. And then you go for your last shift, that is either being a gas attendant or, working as a security guard. I mean, by the time you finish your day, you're exhausted. You're completely dead. What are you going to do after that? Are you going to study? Anyway, your brain is fried. Do you have the creative ability to do something different? No. Because, you need to prepare yourself for the next day. Most of the time, you'll be looking at your smartphone, checking messages, trying to get your mind off reality. And then the struggle. Whatever you get paid, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay heating charges, electricity charges, food charges, transportation charges. And before you know it, the years of your life are just passing by. 5 years, 10 years. And by the time you actually get this passport, you're still struggling to get your life in place because you're earning so small. You'll get, if you're lucky, you'll get a slightly better job, slightly better pay. But then again, you have to work your ass off, right? So then what can you do? Yes, it feels good to read these stories of this guy came as an immigrant. Today he has a 7-figure income, or he earns $100,000 or 1 million. He's a millionaire, or he's big, Yeah, it feels good. It's very inspiring to listen to such stories. But try telling these stories to these poor fellows or fellies, guys or girls, who come there when they are 30, in their 30s or in their 40s. In the corporate world, when you're 30 and 40, that also a foreigner in a new country, you're already old. They look at you as one of the has-beens, They want to give more opportunities to dynamic young people. And your core focus will be, okay, I need to buy a house. I need to have a house that is my own so I don't get thrown out. I need to, save some money if I get sick. Yeah, the country will give you, unemployment benefits. But don't think the unemployment benefits are so amazing that you can live a comfortable and rich life. You will just be paying basic stuff, man. Is that how you want to live? And free hospital, medical care. Yeah, the free medical care is you sit and wait until the doctor is free. Maybe hours and hours. You broke your hand. Wait for 4 hours. Wait for 6 hours. Then come after another 4-5 days. Yeah. And last but not the least, the question is this the kind of life you want to live? Okay, foreign passport. Yay, yippee, you got a white passport. Is this the life you want to live? See, that is where, I've always, I don't know about you, I've always battled the one desire that I wanted to be a white passport, Loy Macedo, American citizen, and this and that. versus, okay, Indian passport, but with money. Which one would I want? The reality is, if you have money, this is one wise man once told me, Indian businessman, fat guy. I asked him, he is a millionaire. So I asked him, you didn't think of going to the West? He's from Delhi. He told me, who the fuck wants to go to the West, man? Who the fuck, what the fuck is in the West? I think he kind of got offended because he thought I was making fun of his nationality or whatever. But I was being humble. I saying, what the fuck is in the West? He's saying, this is what he told me. If you have money, you can go anywhere in the world. I can buy fucking passports. I throw fucking cash. He said, when I go to USA and they say, yes, what is your purpose of visit? I tell them, I'm coming here to invest money in your country, to run a business, to provide employment. They say, welcome, sir, welcome. He's saying, I bring wealth into their country. They have to kiss my ass. And if they don't want my money, fuck you, I'll go somewhere else. So I was just like stunned at his response, because until that time, I used to always hear people say, yeah, I go for a holiday to the West and this and that. I just realized, fuck, if you have money, you can go anywhere, man. So then the question is, why did I come to Thailand? That is another story. If you're interested, I'll tell you later on. It was actually a big miscalculation. But now that I'm here, I'll tell you it's a gift. It's a gift because I'm able to save money. See, end of the day, keep in mind, no matter where you go, which part of the world, no matter how much you earn, in the end, the only thing that matters is savings. This is something I hated. I didn't believe. I didn't want to believe. No matter what my mentors told me, I was like, fuck, who the fuck wants to save? It's so unromantic. Savings, what the fuck is savings? Living a glamorous life, enjoying an expensive car, hot babes and big house. And I used to always think like that. But today, after, I have a wife who I have to take care of, a baby who I take care of. End of the day, it comes to savings, man. You have to save money. Oh, okay, this is for a rainy day. Oh, this is for the house. Oh, this is for the education. Oh, this is if I fall sick. Okay, this is for my new computer or new investment, or, every day is you're thinking of savings. Money comes in. As soon as money comes in, I don't go around, when I was young, money came in, oh fuck, I have to blow money. I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you this. Before, I used to spend $1,500 only on perfumes. Why? Because I just wanted to impress the hell out of females. Perfuming myself and making sure I used to take steroids, have a great physique and think of sex, erotic sex and this and that. The money has to get my salary immediately within, I think, forget a week, 2 days, 3 days, everything spent off and living on a credit card. What a shitty way. I used to think that was great. Today, as soon as I get the money, I call my wife. I tell her, please allocate. Okay, for house, electricity, water, future, business, tax, a lawyer, accountant, baby, for you, for the land, for the house. I mean, there are so many small piggy banks, yeah. And then when you see it, there's no money. There's nothing left. This is something you will not understand until you start having responsibilities. Because we always assume our health will always be there, or we'll always be working. But the day you fall sick, the day you're unable to work, the day money starts just blowing off. The number of people who have migrated abroad and are working their ass off. So many of them who have gone abroad, I don't see them post anything on Facebook. I don't see them showing off on Instagram or anywhere. Yes, the ones who went to study there and started their life from schooling, yeah, they might enjoy a better life. But people in their 30s and 40s, they don't do that. because life is so tough. I see so many of them, they were posting on Facebook and happy and showing off and like normal people. But once they go migrate, the social media accounts are no longer, they're not putting anything. They're so busy. See, all I want to tell you is, don't think that going from one place to another will solve all your problems. When you go from one place to another, it brings a whole new set of challenges. See, when I migrated here, when I moved here to Thailand, I'm telling you this, I never imagined the expenses. Yes, Thailand is cheaper than Dubai. I was in Dubai. But you'll be shocked to know, I burned off all the fucking money I had within 2 years. You know, money is like this, you know. You want to death by 1,000 cuts. You know, there's this Chinese saying, a paper cut, make 1,000 of them and a person will bleed to death. You know, small expenses. Okay, eating food, electricity, water, staying, this, that. Oh, the money just goes, man. Simple. You check your wallet. When your salary comes, within 2-3 days, I'm pretty sure your whole salary is gone. Where's your salary gone? I'm pretty sure you're a normal person. You don't spend like crazy. But where did your money go? Where does it? You know, we don't think about all this. And for me, the biggest challenge was, after I came down to Thailand, I had to start earning from zero. I had to build my brand from zero. Everything from zero. Obviously, with this face and this personality, I wouldn't get a job anywhere. As it is, nobody wants to employ an Indian here. They only want to employ, first is they're Thai citizens, second is Western citizens. Nobody wants it. This is a fact. In Thailand, they are not going to employ any Indians. That's why I find it so comedic when I get someone who has come to Thailand. Hey man, hey, hi, hello, how are you? Yeah, big fan of yours from India. Okay, what do you come here for? For getting a job. Where do you think I can apply? You're going to be sent, your ass is going to be sent back. Nobody will give you a job. The only job you can get is a cook or cleaner, and you'll get based on the Thai currency. What they'll pay a normal Thai local is what you'll get paid. You'll not get paid American standards. And you can't survive. The only thing is, you need to start your own business. Open your business and try to make it work. And that costs shitloads of money. So, you know, I just want to tell you this. Yes, it feels good to have white passport. And even today, deep down, I always had that thing, oh shit, yeah, I never got a white passport. But then I realized, okay, this is a fascination, just like having this blonde, beautiful, sexy, hot wife. Yeah, it's all is good. You know, always, so many Indians want to show off by having a white chick and blonde girl and white girl and show off, oh, this is my hot babe. Yeah, you get a bloody Rolls Royce, if you buy that, or a Bugatti, the service bill, the cost to maintain is also very high. It's not cheap. Unless, of course, you get a girl who is one of those odd ones out who wants a poor third world country guy. I realized through my life that if I get these white women, I'll have to have white maintenance, a white bill, service charge, and all that madness that comes with the white way of thinking. Oh, equal rights. Oh, you know, you have to take care of me. Oh, I can go out with my friends. Oh, I demand this, I demand that. Don't expect good and bad both come together. I'm not trying to say Indian girls or Asian girls are the best in the world. But always buy what you can maintain. Take what you can handle. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Today, for me, yes, I don't have a white passport. But who the fuck cares? How many people with white passports I see struggling to pay their bills? You know, here in Thailand, so many white passport holders. So many from America, Canada, UK, Australia. They don't even have money to pay their bills. They're literally living on favors from their relatives and abroad, or government, the government is paying their unemployment benefits or retirement benefits. Is that the way you want to live? I don't know. Yes, there are some people who worked big jobs in big companies and they earn a nice fat paycheck. But that kind of reality is far and few. So all I want to tell you through this video is, don't think migrating is going to solve your problems. It's going to bring a whole host of new problems. And the worst part, at least for me, is you'll not be able to do what you're passionate about, what you love, what you dream about. Like if I had to do this coaching business abroad, 100% sure they'll have plenty of regulations, plenty of certifications, plenty of tests. And the worst part, abroad, bloody they'll sue you for this and sue you for that, and the taxes. If they are offering you benefits, they'll tax your ass off. I'm happy here. Here I focus on my brand. I make this video. You think I could do this abroad? Make 3-4 videos a whole day, just upload YouTube videos, and I get paid in American dollars and I spend in Thai baht. So I charge American kind of standards, but my expense is Thailand standards. Just think if it was the reverse. Would I survive? Anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you, because I talk to so many people. I listen to their problems. Life is tough here. People think if I move from India, only if I move from India, my life would have been better. It's going to be very tough. And like I shared in my previous video, your communities, the people you mix around with, your friends, the loneliness, it's a very different life. You'll be very alone. You'll miss that authentic culture that you once had. That's why Thai people, when they go abroad, they get homesick. They are like completely, they just feel so empty. Indians, when they go to Canada, they feel totally lost. They're like, this is not my culture. Yes, it's a better life in certain categories, but it's not perfect. There are all the struggles which are still there. And almost everyone in the West lives on credit. Loans and cards and mortgages and yes, the expenses. So I just want to share this with you, because I had these clients who shared with me their challenges, problems, difficulties of staying abroad. Please don't think going abroad is going to solve your problems, unless, of course, you're prepared. And if you're not prepared, please don't go abroad. You'll regret it. And best to best, okay, fine, you might become a millionaire, whatever. But by all possibilities, you'll end up being average. An average Joe, paying your average bills, living an average life, and just normal. And with your Gora passport, you'll realize, shit, okay, I got the Gora passport, but now what? Am I going to go for a holiday? No, I have to sit and work. You'll not want to live that lifestyle of traveling like a hippie, because that is not what you are. Your culture, your upbringing will tell you, I need to save money, invest in a house, invest in a business. For that, you need to work your ass off. And by the time you have children and, forget about doing anything else. So anyway, this is what I wanted to share with you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. But remember, no matter what nationality you are, you make money, that's it, you're king. You don't make money, anywhere you go, you're fucked. Okay? That's what I wanted to tell you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This is me signing off. Guys, take care.